Okay. I'm Jano Lieber. I'm president of MTA Construction Development, but you're cheering for the people who built this job, and they're right here behind me. I'm joined by, and we're really honored to have Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez, who represents this area so amazingly for so many years. Two MTA board members who are new MTA board members who have taken a real interest in this issue. Victor Calisi, MTA board member and commissioner of New York City Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, and Lorraine Cortez Vazquez, also an MTA board member and commissioner of the Department of Aging. Thank you for being here. We've also got an amazing turnout of elected officials. In addition to Congresswoman Velasquez, we got State Senator Meyer, Council Member Menchaca, thank you for being here. And we may be joined by State Assemblyman Felix Ortiz as well. We're here to mark the completion of the major construction work here in Sunset Park at our 59th Street NR station. And as I said, I want to thank the workers who got us to this point. It was an acceleration. We saved 10 months on this job. They are to blame. They are the ones to be credited. And they did it in the middle of the pandemic, amidst all the challenges of doing work during COVID. This project represents another example of how the MTA is delivering projects on time and on budget. Our motto at Construction and Development is faster, better, cheaper, and we're doing it every day. And I'm proud that, as I said, that the residents of Sunset Park who travel on the N&R line get to have these three accessible elevators. Installing elevators in a busy neighborhood is never simple, but it's worth it because mass transit, after all, is about making sure that all New Yorkers have the same opportunity to get around for education, for work, for culture. And we have to make our system fully accessible as quickly as we can. We've accomplished a great deal on station accessibility in the last 4 or 5 months. We've opened 6 stations. This has never happened at the MTA at this pace. The Astoria Boulevard in Queens, 86th Street in Brooklyn, First Avenue, Bedford Avenue, Chambers Street, Bedford Park Boulevard in the Bronx, and now at 59th and 4th Avenue. We couldn't do any of this without federal support. There's been catastrophic impacts on the MTA budget, and as everybody knows, we need the federal government to step up and listen to leaders like Nydia Velasquez and who are doing so much to make the case that the MTA needs and deserves federal emergency relief. This is like a hurricane in Florida, and we all show up when there's a natural disaster in other parts of the country. This is a disaster for our key infrastructure, and it needs to be addressed by the federal government. That's what's at stake, the entire New York City mass transit system. Without federal support, we won't be able to run service anywhere at the current levels, much less build more elevators and new world-class stations. That would be a huge blow to residents of communities like this very one who rely on mass transit so much to get around the system, who are using it right through COVID and who are coming back as the economy starts to recover. In January, our plan to quickly award ADA stations this year as part of the 70-station program, I laid out how we were going to do 39 stations this year. By getting incredibly creative with our budget, including using federal money, we've managed to award several station projects, and we're going to do a few more. All of them are federally funded. But beyond that, we can't move forward unless the federal government steps up and provides that emergency COVID assistance as part of the long-awaited stimulus package. So even as we celebrate here today, we're looking at a cliff. And I hope you all will continue to support us in fighting for mass transit. We have a new president ready to enter office in January who has been a leader. He's been a leader on these issues before, but there's so much uncertainty in Washington. Everybody knows what's going on, and we must have emergency relief, or the catastrophic results are going to be felt pretty quickly. MTA is the lifeblood of the regional and national economy, contributing more than $10 billion to the GDP and providing, we collectively provide Washington with $29 billion more each year in funding that we get back from the federal government. That's an amazing imbalance, and it needs to be corrected starting now with the MTA. There's not going to be a strong recovery without the MTA. The future of our system and our city is at stake, and that's why I am so thrilled to be joined by such a distinguished group of elected officials who are doing so much to fight for us. I don't want to stop without recognizing again the workers and the management team who made this project happen behind me. This is, at the risk of going on a little, let me just tell you one or two things about this project. This project was supposed to be finished 10 months from now, but we took advantage of the fact that there was low ridership in COVID. We were more aggressive about doing work during that period of low ridership at the governor's request and suggestion, and we were able to get it done. Interestingly, we paid a little more for more overtime, but we saved money by shortening the duration of the project. Less overhead, all the stuff that involved in keeping a project going. So this ends up being pretty close to a net neutral in terms of cost to accelerate a project. That's what we want to be doing. I'm proud that we're able to model that on this project. So without further ado, Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. Mr. Lieber, MTA leadership, thank you so much for everything that you're doing to keep New York going despite the pandemic. And here we are. This is a great day for Sunset Park, and especially for the most vulnerable populations. Here we are, the federal government, saying that indeed the federal government has a role to play in providing a safety net to our most vulnerable among us. And I am so happy to be here with my colleagues in government, Eleanor Meyer from the Senate, and Councilman Menchaca, and also Community Board 7 that has played an important role in raising these issues. And to the workers, you represent frontline workers. You are willing to sacrifice, to make sacrifices despite the pandemic to get this project done. And for that, I am extremely grateful. So it is a new day, not only for Sunset Park, but for our nation. And finally, we're going to have an administration that really, truly believes that we have to make investment to get our economy growing again. And one of those investments must be on transportation and infrastructure. So the federal government, the federal government make the need to expand and diversify transportation options for our most vulnerable population is critical. And making this station fully accessible is a first on this subway line for Sunset Park. The federal government has a role to play with the with the Disability Act, and invested $36 million out of the 59 that was spent in this project. With this long overdue station upgrade, we are providing a first-tier level of independence for our disabled and maturing community. Whether you are a wounded veteran or mobility challenged by illness, age, or accident, stairs can be a barrier. By widening the door to accessibility, residents and New Yorkers from all over have another travel option here in Sunset Park. They are not longer relegated to being stuck in traffic, paying for car service, or waiting for access a ride. In fact, within blocks of this station, riders have another option, boarding the ferry to Lower Manhattan or even the Rockaways. And this stop is a destination in itself for New Yorkers. Sunset Park is home to New York University Langone Hospital, Brooklyn, and its new Perlmutter Cancer Treatment Center. The Stephen Cohen Military Family Mental Center. Sunset Park, Fifth Avenue, boasting a string of authentic Latin American and Asian restaurants, are all open for business. Now, these are all a swipe of a MetroCard and a push of an elevator button away to get here. So come to 59th Street in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. It is now much easier to get here. And I promise you, Mr. Lieber, that next week we are going back in session. I'm going to raise the issue of the transportation infrastructure bill. And it will not be enough to say we need $3 trillion in infrastructure investment in our country, but to make sure that the formula that is devised will not be one that works against New York. Amen. Thank you, and God bless you.
Amazing, amazing leadership. Thank you, Congresswoman. Board Member Victor Calisi, Commissioner of the City of New York. Thank you.
Thank you, Jano. Thank you to all the MTA workers that are here today. My father worked for the MTA, and his whole life he said one thing: God bless the MTA. God bless the MTA for all the work that they do every day to keep us moving, to keep us shaking. And as you heard, it's important to include disability in everything. When we're talking about diversity, we are talking about people with disabilities. People with disabilities came out in record numbers and voted this year. And yes, and we can thank people with disabilities for pushing this election forward for the new President of the United States. Because people with disabilities are the fabric of society. We work, we play, and we want to be part of the city just like anyone else. And it's important, that's right. And any time that we're talking about disability, it's a good day. And today is a good day for that. And when we're talking about disability, we're not just talking about elevators. We have to make sure that we are providing technology for people with cognitive and visual disabilities, for people with hearing disabilities, and making sure that's embedded in the process. And that's what we are doing with the system-wide accessibility team at the MTA, and Jano's team, that ensuring accessibility is everything that MTA is doing. Now, we can't do this without federal funding. And if we don't have federal funding, we will not move the next 30 years of the Americans with Disabilities Act forward. We need to do that now. We need to do it fast, on time, and quickly, just like this elevator here today. And I look forward to working with the MTA and making this a reality. And thank you to the workers. Thank you to Jano's team. Thank you for everyone for being here, and Congresswoman as well. Thank you.
Another one of our MTA board members, Lorraine Cortez Vazquez, please.
Thank you. I'm not as courageous as they are. I'm in a protected category, so I keep my mask on. It is an honor to be with you, both the legislators, the Congresswoman who I adore, the council member who I'm very close to also, and the senator. Thank you so much for being here. But this is about partnership. And this is a new partnership. Because if you start thinking about people who are excluded, it's usually the disabled and the last ism that we have not tackled as a society, which is ageism. And once you make things accessible for these two very important populations, and if we're going to talk about voting, nobody votes at higher record numbers than the older population in the United States. But what I want to say is that when we make systems accessible, it is not only accessible for these two important populations, but it's with the mother with a carriage. It is with the child with a bicycle. It is with the mother who has 3 children and a bag in her hands. So making it work like universal design is the great equalizer. And that's why I'm so proud that the MTA, it has a renewed and enthusiastic focus on accessibility, because it makes it possible for all New Yorkers. For older adults, what is key to us is that it enables older people to stay in their home, in the community that they love, in the community that they know, rather than institutional care. So you keep up the good work. We will keep up the good fight with you, and it is an honor to serve with all of you. And to you, thank you. The people who very rarely get recognized for the great work that they do. While everybody else was home, hunkering down and being safe, you were out making sure that this happened on time and ahead of budget. Nothing is nicer to my ears than that as a board member. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. Let's hear from State Senators Eleanor and Meyer now, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Buenas tardes. All right, buenas, buenas. Let me start by thanking the workers again. You're going to keep hearing this throughout, but you deserve it because you helped keep the city alive during one of the most trying times we've ever been through. So we want to say thank you to the workers. Without you, this would not be possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I am an MTA boy. I don't drive. I take the train and I take the bus. And I've grown up in this city relying on the MTA almost every single day in order to be here. And so because we know the MTA is the lifeblood of the city and that we cannot exist without it, we cannot exclude our differently abled friends and neighbors from participating in this system. And that's why I am so excited to be with everyone today as we celebrate these elevators and accessibility, because everyone deserves to participate in the MTA's beauty. I'm going to be a big booster going forward of more elevators. We want them all over the place, right? But we know that we need the money to do it. And we don't have a greater fighter in Congress than our Congresswoman, Nydia Velasquez, who is going to do everything possible for us to get it. I'm going to be right behind you on the state level. Hopefully we'll get that money trickled down, and we'll be able to help you guys out. But thank you so much again to the workers. Thank you for everyone who made this possible today. God bless.
Assemblyman Felix Ortiz, we'd love to hear from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Not only this is a great day, this is a complete overdue project that has been on the line for many, many years. I am very, very pleased and very happy. First of all, it is true. We have to commend all the workers, and I'm glad that you use my toilet many times. Probably you're going to have to use somebody else's toilet next time around. But I thank you very much for the hard work, for the commitment, and for the dedication to make sure that we get this day today. Secondly, I would like to also thank the MTA as well and the board members, because this is not the only station that we've been fighting for. We're expecting 39th Street and 4th Avenue to be open as well. And that was another pipeline that we put together to make sure that will be unveiled. Last but not least, I also would like to say that 9th Street and 7th Avenue will be another one coming up. So this is the fight, not about one day, not about today. This is a fight that's been happening for many, many years. And we finally see the product. When people ask what you have done, this is what we have done for many years. And I'm going to thank all the advocates. And I'm going to thank Community Board 7. Because year after year, they have put the pressure to make sure that we will be able to be where we are today. And this is, again, I'm going to reemphasize, it is true that we had to put more into the disabled community, but it's other community as well that needed this. The pushing car, the elderly that cannot go through the stairs because maybe they suffer from neuropathy, maybe they suffer from other illness. But this is a great day for the people of Sunset Park, and more to come. Just stay tuned, and you're going to see it, because this is a bright community, and we have a great future ahead of us. Now that we have a new president, and I will tell you this much, I just flew from Nevada, and I was in Nevada for 2 weeks. And what I saw in Nevada was back and forth game playing. And I said to myself, but wait a minute, the election was over on Tuesday. And if you look to the numbers back, and I'm a crunch number person, that's the reason I was there, I will tell you this much, that by 11 o'clock at night on Tuesday, I said this election is over. And we have a new president, we have a new Congress, and I will tell you this much, we're very close to get a new U.S. Senate. If we had the three, I will tell you, not only New York will not be left behind, New York will be the top priority, and I will be there for you as well. Thank you very much, and for my community, thank you for having me. Thank you for the love that you've given me for 26 years, and more to come. I'm not going nowhere. You're going to see more of me in my other life. Thank you. May God bless you and keep the faith.
Councilmember Menchaca has been very patient. Let's ask him to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you. Buenas tardes, buenas tardes. I'm Carlos Menchaca, City Council member representing this incredible community. And I also want to thank the advocates. I'm going to start there. CB7 is here in full force. You have Jeremy and Cindy and Julio and Cesar. Give them a round of applause. Grisel is here as well. Who else? Is there any other CB7 member? The CB7 team has been incredible about making this a priority for this entire community. When we talk about Sunset Park, we talk about a community of seniors, a community of people who are differently abled. We need that power, not just in the city, but it's in this entire country. That is what's happening here in Sunset Park. I also want to thank the Riders Council, and that's Chris and your mom and the entire team. This is a citywide effort that has put this at the front at the city council hearings, and I'm part of the transportation committee. They are there every single time talking about these issues, and that's why we're here. And the workers, thank you so much for being out here. I'm going to say thank you, but in a different way. You've worked on a public project that was funded by public funds. When we talk about the future, we're not talking about corporations coming into our city and fixing the things that we need. This is about prioritizing public projects with public funds. This is the power of what we're talking about. When we're saying we need more federal money, and the Congress member is going to fight, we need more state money, and the state senator is going to fight, and we need more city money to do these projects. That's how we're going to get to the next chapter of the city, and I'm going to be here fighting for you. Muchas gracias, and thank you.
So I can't, we thank the workers, but I also have to recognize the contracting team of Scalamandria and Gramercy, who are represented here today. Thank you for being here. And last but not least, we want to acknowledge Sheila Hudson, who is the station manager for the hospitality that has been shown to us today. So thank you to the folks who, we've established this district station manager program so people will feel a sense of ownership and commitment and investment in the stations, and it's really paying off. So thank you again. Thank you to everybody for being here and to the press. And Tim, are we doing Q&A? Dave Colon.
On the subject of congestion pricing and the new Biden administration, do you have any idea how long it could take if he says, day one, you get the EA, you get the EIS? I saw there's an old schedule that suggested it would take about 18 months, a year and a half from the day that they said you do one environmental study or the other. So do we know what kind of schedule is looking like once they get the go-ahead on that?
I don't want to speculate. Well, the first thing is we need the hostage released, right? Congestion pricing has been held hostage with a really cynical premise, which is that it was somehow using an environmental process to slow down congestion pricing, which is a huge unadulterated environmental good. That made no sense. It was a little cynical, and now we're waiting to get the go-ahead from Washington so that we can start to implement congestion pricing. It's hugely important for our city. And we've been collecting all the data. I can't tell you exactly how long it would take, but boy, if we get going, I'm sure that we're going to push it as fast as we can.
Has anything changed from the schedule that you sent the government last year?
You know, honestly, Dave, I'll have to get back to you. I just don't know that answer off the top of my head.
Okay.
Anybody else? Okay. Anyway, thank you, everybody, for coming. Big things.